guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike.
I am Jay.
And this review is a Patreon review for our friend Nick Scardina. The stuff.
Hey, I found some bubbling white shit from an industrial park. Let's pack that shit up.
So let's go trick-or-treating. Let's go fucking drinking. Let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS. Because Halloween never ends. Halloween never ends. Halloween never ends. Yeah.
And first off, I want to say this movie's not bad. It's weird as fuck, but I will say one thing about that. I just thought, like, immediately, I was like, who the fuck really does that? If these guys, okay, at the very beginning of the movie, these two hobo dudes that discover this stuff, if they were a drunk, if they were just like drunk hobos or something like that, that's one thing. So they see this white bubbly shit coming out of the ground. The first instinct is like, that tastes good. Like, it's like if you were in a fucking industrial park and white fucking splooge from the earth was coming up bubbling, the last thing you're gonna do is touch it and eat it.
He went, what? He was like, dude, he looked like he just came off the ship from the fog too. He was like, what's that bubbly white stuff? I don't eat snow, but I'll eat this. And he was like, he didn't even smell it first. He didn't feel it, he didn't smell it. He immediately went straight to
You know what it is the whole movie essentially is a throwback to those old 1950s like big giant drive-in movies where it's like this unimaginable alien force that is without form, like the Blob or something, that's taking over the town. In this one, a little mix of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
What year was this?
85.
85? That's the year I was born.
I know. Yeah. All sorts of white shit came out that year. But yeah, it was one of those movies. Like, so when I was watching it, I enjoyed it for that reason alone. Like, I liked the original Blob, but the 89 Blob is way better. But it's still a fun movie. It's a creature feature movie for sure. And it has got some weird kind of... I wouldn't say horrific parts, but kind of like, because like when the parents turn on him, like the little kid and the brother, I'm like, this is fucked. That scares the shit out of me because you're vulnerable and your own parents are turning on you, trying to make you eat this fucking crustacean splooge.
That's actually the scariest part of the movie, dude, because like when the little kid's talking to his parents, he's like, don't you want to try it? It's like, we don't sleep at all anymore now that we eat. Yeah. Right? And the reason it's so creepy is because back in the 80s and the early 90s, like that was the thing for parents to be like, son, you have to have your spinach. Yeah. It was like the most important thing in the world that you ate good and like had your vegetables and shit like that. And this movie's a perfect time capsule, all that, because the dad's like just this old white-haired businessman, and everybody played that part very like perfect to the time that it was in. And every character actually, like normally in these movies, I think it was pretty low budget. I couldn't tell. Like by the way,
dude, the green screen usage was terrible. Yeah. It looked like one of those amusement parks where you have to stand in front of the camera and like it looks fake as fuck.
And it's for free on YouTube, by the way. And it actually like a pretty good scan of the movies on YouTube if you guys want to watch it if you haven't seen it. But yeah, no, and they put it in this little jar. And you probably, even if you haven't seen the movie, this is the first time I watched it, by the way.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't seen the movie, you've probably seen the jar. It like just says the stuff on it, and it's got like, it's literally fucking shaving cream. Yeah. I think that's what it is, actually. And the kid even replaces it with Barbasol at one point. But they find this goop in the ground. They're like, hey, maybe if there's enough of that down there, we can sell it. And then the next thing you know, they have all the jingles and all the commercials. Yeah. And Brand X, it's taken over the world, and everybody loves it. And then you find out that they're addicted to it, and it's doing crazy shit to people's brains. And just in case you haven't seen it, we won't spoil all that, but it takes over the world, dog.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird, but to be honest with you, I didn't mind the acting necessarily. The guy that plays Mo is Michael Moriarty. Moriarty. I can't.
Moriarty.
Yeah, he's and I don't know how many of you guys would know this, but in The Outlaw, Josie Wells was one of the best Clint Eastwood movies ever. He was the main bad guy that was helping chase down Josie Wells. He's a fucking great actor, dude. That guy is really good. And then you got fucking Chocolate Chip Charlie. I swear to God, if I didn't have a screen name or like a gamer tag, my new name would be Chocolate Chip Charlie. Because that sounds good. I love that guy, dude. That guy's been in a bunch of movies. That dude that played him, and then the little kid's not annoying, which I thought he was going to be. He just
looks like he's a 45-year-old man who just got divorced.
He does look like he keeps skin suits in an attic somewhere.
Yeah, that kid has a little serial killer in him, man.
And then the girl so the acting was pretty solid all the way around. And it was funny because you actually see these people taking this stuff. Like, that's when you know it's a good actor, because the story is pretty silly and it's out there and it's cheesy. Even for its time, I think it was cheesy. But they're actually doing a good job, like, doing the roles of the acting to, convince you, like, hey, this shit's real. This shit's terrible. But overall, man, it was just, I had fun. But it starts dropping frame rates pretty quick because I think the best parts of the movie is when Mo Rutherford is investigating why the FDA approved this shit, and then he's doing some corporate espionage for these assholes that hired him on a boat, and then the kid dealing with all this stuff in the suburbs, and then going to a grocery store and freaking out, like falling down. Like, he just fucking freaks out. He skips out on school, and he just goes there and beats the shit out of the store and tries to get people to stop eating this stuff. I thought all that was fun, and I was like, man, if they had just kept it in that neighborhood, or just kind of feel like maybe focused it in there, and like that 80s feel, dude, it was sweet. As soon as they start going to the industrial plant, I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah, it actually did get pretty boring in the middle there, and you're like, okay, I was into this premise and everything was working out great, and I love this David character, the main guy, and it's so cool how they do that too, because the ice cream.
His name's not David, it's Mo, because the more money I ask for, the Mo I want.
That's right. But it's hilarious how they do this, and it's kind of Paul Verhoeven-ish in that the movie's saying something. Like, I think the movie's actually about. At one point they mention alcohol. He's like, yeah. He's like, you want to drink? He's like, no, I'm off it. He was like, that stuff should be banned. It can kill you. And then and then there's a shot at the end of the movie where the guy finds something. He's like, this is some good shit, man.
That became like crack.
Yeah, it's like cocaine and alcoholism and stuff like that. But it also has something to say about corporations and the FDA and shit like that. Because this guy's hired, he's a corporate saboteur. So his job is to go in, and he's a sleazy type character. Kind of reminds me in a weird way of Ryan Gosling in Nice Guys. It kind of has that like,
he has that vibe.
But he's like he's self-depreciating, but he's also super like James Bond.
He's likable too. I like that.
Like, he's like, you're not as dumb as you look. He's like, nobody's as dumb as I look.
Hey, that's a smart tactic, man. You know, hey, keep the low expectations. They'll never see it coming.
It's just like in Scream 2 when Dewey was like, how do you know that my whatever is not a manipulated form so I could move freely with any given capability? It was just like that, and that's how this guy was. He walks around, he acts kind of dumb. He's a fast talker. In a weird way, he's like a dumb Robert Downey Jr. type dude. Yeah. Like, he's just super fucking likable. And as soon as you see him, you're like, that guy's got to be in more shit. Like, it's one of horror's most. I'd say it's up there with horror's most like charismatic performance.
Well, that's the thing. He only was in like literally the big, because when I saw him, I was like, God, he looks so fucking familiar. You know, he reminds me. He really does look like the actor that played. You remember? The one with Shia LaBeouf, Eagle Eye or whatever.
Yeah.
The bad guy that lived across the street.
No, Disturbia.
He looks like that dude.
That David Morse?
David Morse, yeah. No, I don't think it's David Morse.
I think that was David Morse in that movie.
Is it David Morse from Fright Night?
No.
I don't know. Well, yeah, maybe it is David Morse, but that's what he reminded me of. Is David? Maybe it is David Morse.
It's kind of Halloween 3-ish too. The way he's like, there's this kind of quirky guy investigating this thing, and even picks up a lady on the way. He's like, "Why don't you get my limousine? I'm sure it's bigger than yours." Yeah, that whole thing, very Halloween 3-ish, kind of like the whole thing, but. He goes and he just goes to this empty town, and this is where the FDA stuff comes in, because he goes and he's like, well, who got it approved? He's like, well, we got it approved in a small town in nothing fucking business. Yeah. Like, and he goes to investigate it, but it's so dumb, dude. He just walks up to an empty car, and this dude comes out and starts karate chopping.
Fucking Chocolate Chip Charlie is a dangerous man. He's got the hands of fury.
My hands are registered as a deadly weapon.
That guy was
I don't need no gun. He reminded me of the guy from Kickboxer that helps Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh yeah, that dude. Yeah. Yeah, well, no, I
get in my van.
That dude has been in a lot of movies, because I looked and I was like, God, he's got that familiar face, and I was like, and he's been in quite a few. But yeah, and again, the other thing that made that was really cool about it was that the chemistry is all there on screen too between the actors. Like, it really feels like they're like Chocolate Chip Charlie and fucking Mo are like good friends, because they kind of respect each other, but they don't. I don't know. And then they're like, I just felt like the chemistry was on point for those two characters. Even the little kid, when he shows up and he gets under the tutelage of Mo, is good. Like, I didn't have a problem with the acting. The only problem is sometimes it slows down, and I gave it such a pass on the special effects, because it's the 80s, mid 80s, and this was never going to look like fucking Terminator or anything like that.
Yeah.
But so I was like, yeah, it looks cheesy as fuck. Dude, the cheesiest I've ever. This motherfucker looked like someone faked this shit at Kodak. Because at the very end of the movie, when they get in the recording studio and they're trying to remember the chocolate chip Charlie and all that shit that I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a moment at the end where Chocolate Chip Charlie is involved with the girl and the boy, and all this shit starts happening, and it looked the fucking I couldn't even dude, it, like, literally it looked like it was shot by some like 12-year-old kid in the 80s and put like in his attic.
Well, dude, at one point a SUV pulls up, and I don't know why, but it's like a claymation SUV. It pulls up and it's like moving, and you're like, what is going on?
There was also one scene where the dog does something, and it cut, and the dog was normal looking, and then it cut back, and it was like, oh.
Yeah, the dog, he had that white shit coming out, and he was like, because he was so funny, dude, he was like, oh my God, my dog's gonna eat me, and the dog pulls the cord out of the wall when he tries to call the cops, and it's all scary, but they fucked up the editing, because there'll be a quick edit in there where the dog dog's just like licking his face.
Yeah.
It's like in the next scene, the dog's like ferocious, and then he's just like licking his face. You could tell it's just a good boy.
I think it was an editor that like was hungover, and they forgot that one scene didn't go there, and they just left it in the movie.
Fuck it, it's the 80s. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah, but I kind of dug it. I don't. I'm not gonna watch it again. Don't get me wrong. I'd much rather watch something like The Blob, 1989, than this movie. But this movie's not bad, and it is kind of scary if you look at it. The fact that it's so easy to manipulate the public and just buying shit.
Yeah.
But you know, and then it's like consumerism and just like fucking zombies. Like they lived in it better. Obviously, They Live is way more about, you know, obey and consumerism. But this one is on point. It's the same kind of way. Like, oh, we got a new jingle out on the radio station. You boys and girls should come up and pick this fucking white cum up and eat it because it tastes good.
Comes from the ground, so you know it's healthy.
Yeah, it's got like a. This would be like in today's world, like fucking Logan Paul would like introduce it and be like, "You guys want to be badass and have blonde hair and be an asshole? Eat this cum." And people will be like rushing around eating it, like, "Wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
I can't get enough."
If you do rewatch it, it's for Mo and how funny he was, because
Yeah.
he did have some great lines in the movie. And it's the special effects are fun when they happen, but they're just really sparse. Like, and honestly, like when the special effects happen, everybody's like, "Oh my god, no!" And you're like, it just looks like someone's spraying fucking shaving cream at you.
Yeah, dude.
Like, that's all it's
the
happening.
special effects is an example of like a comparative to like if you went to Disney World and be like, "Oh wow, this is badass," and then your parents said, "Next year it's going to be better. We're going to Dollywood." You're like, what?
And it's almost like some of it reminds you of The Thing, like the way people's mouths get big and
Like not on the par of the effects.
No, if The Thing was Power Rangers, this would be VR Troopers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
they fucking shuttled these effects in from Japan and they just recycled it.
just like Power
That's all it
Rangers.
was.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt. But yeah, overall, I liked it too, man. The score got on my damn nerves.
It was bad.
Because
Well, it didn't make sense.
A fucking flute.
Yeah, like literally, it sounded like happy music. Like it sounded like an inspiration. Like the guy at just like in an inner city school, the teacher got through to the kids. Like it didn't make. It's supposed to be a horror movie, and the music is literally the opposite of horror.
Yeah,
it's like you're walking through fucking an orchard field. Yeah, so I didn't get that at all. Because at the end, like the end of the movie when the credits roll, it kind of get this little jangle going. I'm like, ooh, might be good, and then it goes. I was like, oh my god, this is terrible.
Yeah, not good on the score at all, and it was super repetitive. But yeah, overall, dude, I was pleasantly surprised with how much I liked it. And it's a classic. Like I've heard people mention it before, and always wanted to watch it. So great fucking pick,
Good
Nick
pick.
Scardino.
Good pick.
And by the way, guys, on our Patreon, which you can link down
They
below.
call him Nick the Dick.
Nick the Dick Scardino.
That's the good guy.
Watch
right
out
there.
for old Nick.
That's
the
why
Dick.
he picked the stuff. He's like, you guys should have some of my stuff.
And not because he's an asshole. It's because he's got a huge wiener.
Mm-hmm.
But no, if you click down below, we do have a tier on Patreon where you can request movie reviews for us. This was a fun one to do. Great pick, dude. You're awesome fucking dude. We love you. Thank you for that.
Good show.
I'm going to give this movie a 6.5er.
I'm actually right. I'm on a 6. So, yeah, I mean, it's above average. It's definitely not like the best movie you've ever seen in your life. And it's definitely not going to be the movie that you remember for the rest of your life. But it's still fun to put on and just kind of turn your brain off and watch. There's literally, you don't have to really even pay attention to half of the shit. Because I didn't even know what some of the shit, because it feels like sometimes it was edited and this scene was thrown over here and then that scene was thrown over there. And like, what the fuck? What just happened?
It's
there?
really easy to sit back and watch too.
Yeah.
Like you said, like if you're the type of person who plays on your phone while you watch a movie, this is the movie for you. Oh, and by the way, fucking Paul Sorvino's in here.
Oh yeah, he is.
And it's not like the role you would expect him to play. He's like a crazy
crazy
military guy, and he's pretty fucking hilarious.
Paul Sorvino is great in it, and but it's hard to explain what he is, because I don't even know if it's really the army or if it's just kind of like a made-up army that he just thinks he's a colonel, but he's got followers, because he's like, I own 2 radio stations.
He seemed like a hardcore right-wing YouTuber.
It was weird, yeah. It's like, is that shit Alex Jones? I don't know who the fuck that is, but no. But there was like a there was funny on the airplane, dude. He was like, what do you do for my image? They always hate me. You sold that white shit. What can you do for me? But Paul Sorvino was actually really funny in it. I was like, God, man, he never really did movies like that.
Yeah, that was great. So, and actually, if I rewatched it, I would rewatch it for how funny Mo was, for some of the fun horror stuff that they did in it, and just for like, I mean, it kind of had a John Carpenter sort of feel to it. If John Carpenter decided to make a silly movie, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what this would be.
Yeah, like it's got a lot of charm in it. I think that's what it is. I think it's got a lot of charm in it,
and it will remind you of your parents in the '80s, just the way everybody was acting, and like everybody like jumped back in the '80s. You forget people like leaned hard into consumerism and capitalism, and it's like the TV says we should do it, so let's do it as a family.
Dude, I will. They
did that perfect.
The very beginning of when the dad catches the son down at 4 o'clock and he hits his ass. And
that's how parents.
I was like, dude, my dad, not my my real dad. He'd be like, "What are you doing up, son?"
Yeah.
I'm like, I was just hungry. He's like, "Get your ass back to bed." And then he hit like, not like hard or he didn't abuse me, but be like one of those slaps that you did with your bare underwear. Like, God damn! And then that motherfucker would stay there and have some steak.
Yeah, dude, that was the.
That's 100%.
Like, people don't know. That's how dads were to us when we grew up.
If you got caught getting up in the middle of the night by your mom or your dad, they'd be like, "What are you doing up?"
Yeah, just the fact that you're walking to the fridge at an inopportune night,
No
they get
way.
pissed. They're like, "Why? I'm not supposed to fucking see or hear you.
You're
like,
going
why?
to-
Why did I see you just now? What the fuck?
You're going to school tomorrow no matter what happens, and you're up at this hour of the night, go back to bed. It was 100%. And that's why he was freaky, because at the end when he has some of that cum in his mouth, he changes it into like, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing there, Chief? Have some of this stuff." But no,
That's your dad when he doesn't want you to tell your mom that you caught him drinking in the car on the way home
Dude,
from
that
work.
guy, yeah. I was like, I always wondered what my dad was doing out there in the garage. But no, dude, I was like, God, that is so dead on. Because I was born in 84, he was born in 85, but I was raised by older parents, but it's dead on what it is, dude. That's why when you learn when you were a kid, you had, like, dude, we got lucky when we grew up in our generation because you learn survival instincts. You have to creep down and, like, you got to test the wood. If it creaks too much, that's not the right wood. You got to use the other wood. Like, that's what I did. But see, kids today don't have that. They can, like, use their cell phone to figure out, like, where the mapping is of their house and use it.
You just open the fridge and, like, you just hear your dad go,
Dude, listen.
"What are you doing?"
If you open the refrigerator or stepped on the wrong floorboard, that shit was in high def stereo. Like the whole house heard it. It's like a machine gun fire. Because as soon as you can open that fucking fridge door and then close it, and then like a fucking ghost, your mom or dad be like, "What are you doing?"
If I see one unopened pop can left around this or unfinished pop can in the house again, I swear to God.
Very idea of young men just not finishing product they don't pay for. Yeah, dude. Dead on it, though.
Great fucking pick, dude. We love your all's fucking faces. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for sexualizing us in your minds.
Nobody does that. But, hey, if you guys want to try some stuff, why don't you guys eat some ice cream? Eat some ice cream.
Love your fucking faces, guys. Good night.
See you guys.
Halloween never ends, suck my fucking dick, and I don't really care what Blumhouse fucking says. Put him in a box, or suck a fucking cock. You can say he's dead, but we all know he's not, yeah. So let's go trick-or-treating, let's go fucking drinking. Let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS. Cause Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, yeah.